clip that we heard on the walk up to the stage, President Trump was talking about the race to 5G and this concern, are we winning or losing the race to 5G? Before we even get into whether we're winning or losing, why does that even matter?
Yeah, I think it matters because the standards are set frequently by who wins that race. I think an important part that the president has been on that I'm also focused on is the national security aspect of it. There is the executive order that the president issued in May that basically says that Chinese telecom equipment should not be allowed in going forward into our network. The National Defense Authorization Act, the NDAA, also focuses on the supply chain aspect of our telecom network. Something that I've focused on at the FCC is making sure that we're not only thinking about Chinese telecom and Huawei and ZTE and some of those that we have national security issues with going forward prospectively, but making sure that we think about how we deal with Huawei that's already in our network right now.
Sure, John, I want to bring you in a second, but the FCC had an open meeting today. There was an item on the docket that essentially involved putting more spectrum out there for 5G. Talk a little bit about that, Commissioner, and sort of what track you think we're on. Like 5 years from now, if we're sitting here talking about 5G, where do you think we'll be, all things considered, with the work you're doing?
All things considered, I think there are folks that are starting to roll out 5G now. I think we certainly are auctioning more and more spectrum. I think it's going to be important from a policy perspective that we have low band, mid band, and high band spectrum. The high band spectrum is what can carry great amount of capacity and data, but you need to have a lot more of these micro cells that are going to be closer to the edge of the network. Whereas when you talk about the propagation of low band, that can travel much further, and it can get through some of the trees and walls and all that kind of stuff. And so it's going to take a good mix of all three types of spectrum for us to get the 5G that folks are really expecting to get.
But like 5 years from now, walking down the street in Washington, D.C., is my phone going to be like 10 times better than it is right now? Or?
I think in 5 years you will have a much different experience with your phone.
John.